Hello there and welcome. Any talk about a whistle these days may indeed have nothing to do with the invaluable tool a referee uses to superintend over a football game or any sport for that matter. It may also have nothing to do with the tool which the local hunter of days gone by uses to guide his canine companion on the hunt. Today, the whistle, metaphorically, has become part of the lexicon of the anti-corruption war. Tonight, News Extra puts the whistle and the whistleblower into perspective. Also tonight, Kanu Khalil London. Yes, the initiator of the whistleblower policy, the president, is on the line. In the meantime, the acting president withholds assent to 4 bills. You'll get to hear about it. The federal cabinet has been busy approving the border link bridge between Nigeria and Cameroon. And from Abuja to New York, it's farewell to one cabinet member. Tonight, News Extra begins now with me, Fatima Abbas Hassan. Thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has thanked Nigerians for their support and prayers for his quick recovery. The president was speaking when Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduji called on him on the phone during a special prayer session organized by Kano State Government for the president. Abdullahi Mustafa has that report.
The prayer session was organized by Kano State Governor Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduji. It was attended by prominent Islamic scholars, members of the business community, and top government officials. Governor Abdullah Umar Ganduji said the prayer session was to seek Allah's guidance, protection and good health for President Muhammadu Buhari, who is on vacation in the United Kingdom. As the governor was addressing the session, President Muhammadu Buhari called to thank the congregation and entire Nigerians for their concern and prayers.
The president there on the line. Now, to issues of corruption. Nigeria struggled to convert its vast potentials in different sectors to tangible success stories of development, and collective greatness seems tied to government's ability to win the war against corruption. Fisayo Ogunfuyi reports that the current administration is employing dexterity and creativity to fight a war which it says must be won.
And present danger, which has seemingly metamorphosed into a thriving culture. Corruption looks practically interwoven with the spindle on which the daily dealings of state have been run for years. Curbing this phenomenon, however, looks like an uphill task, but it is a route that the current administration says it must pursue to ensure that the nation's commonwealth is indeed accessible to the common man.
Investigation and enforcement, which is one leg. The second leg is system study and review, which is not really very well known. That has to do with prevention. And then the last leg has to do with public enlightenment and mass mobilization against corruption.
Corruption is not just enriching oneself, it's actually depriving others. So stopping the corruption means there's more money to do things government should do.
A study by finance experts PwC indicates that corrupt practices could cost Nigeria up to 37% of our gross domestic product GDP by the year 2030. The same study posits that monies equivalent to $1,000 per citizen could be saved yearly, a figure which could rise to nearly $2,000 per Nigerian in the next few years. The key players agree that removing a particularly stubborn leech is not without its toll on the body, as new ideas battle against entrenched systems.
So we've looked at areas like ghost workers, people collecting salary that do not exist, people collecting multiple salaries. We're blocking those ones. We're looking at wastage also in terms of what do we spend money on. Where we spend more money on travel than we spend on roads, you cannot develop your economy.
Government says exploring new areas of wealth creation is top of its list. But on the evidence of its recent successes, recovering the nation's diverted wealth could do the citizens a world of good as well. In Abuja, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
And still on corruption, the Nigerian nation is in a tussle to recover its stolen wealth, with a resonating campaign that the days of thievery are gone and these are now the days of the owner. Cecil Egbele is standing by with the chronology of some of government's approaches in the ongoing battle against corruption.
The fight against corruption by the current administration has so far been hard and long. According to the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, a total of 1,569 petitions were received against government agencies and other private sector practitioners on cases of corruption in 2016 alone, with a total of 8.7 billion naira recovered. The ICPC has filed 70 cases in court, secured 11 convictions, even as it is pursuing a total of 303 cases in various courts across the Federation. Another key initiative in fighting corruption by the administration is the introduction of the Treasury Single Account, TSA, a cash planning and management tool aimed at plugging leakages and looting of public funds. So far, 4.6 trillion naira of government funds, which would have found its way to private coffers, has been saved, with about 50,000 ghost workers on the government's payroll uncovered. And now, it would seem that owning a whistle is a big investment, and knowing how and when to use it can be most profitable these days. In December 2016, the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, announced the whistleblower policy of the federal government. Under the policy, a whistleblower may voluntarily provide the government with information on corrupt practices, with a promise of a cash reward ranging from 2.5% and 5% of any of the recovered sum, arising from the information supplied by the whistleblower. Only recently, the federal government announced that it has recovered $151 million and 8 billion naira looted funds from 3 sources through whistleblowers, with the biggest amount being $136.7 million recovered from an account in a commercial bank under a false account name. Now you know it pays to own a whistle. While Nigerians are alert, the authorities say looters are shivering and the economy is bouncing back. In Abuja, Cecil Egbele, NTA News.
Thank you, Cecil. Now, the federal government, as the protagonist in the multifaceted anti-corruption war, has deployed an approach which promises a handsome reward not just for the country, but also for active participants. Namdi Odipo, in this report, examines this unique approach which has begun to yield some positive results.
This movie is still evolving. The role of lead actor and the supporting act are already taken. The twist to this plot, however, lies in the character known as the whistleblower. While movies are largely products of creativity, sometimes drawn from the vivid imagination of the creator, they are mostly reflective of happenings in the real world. And as far as real-life events go, the whistleblower policy of the federal government transcends the seeming trivial attributes of a movie to merely entertain the viewer. This one intends to realistically fight a monster: corruption. Creating a nemesis for corruption is by no means a frivolous act. So also is the business of managing a whistleblower policy. The new approach in the anti-corruption crusade targets voluntary provision of factual information on corrupt practices by a person or persons. This policy could potentially redress acts of economic sabotage or nip them in the bud. Either ways, it could help move the country forward.
If the government is successful, in at least exposing these cases of wanton stealing of, of the common resources. It will send the right signals, to foreign investors. Our image, as far as the corruption index is concerned, will also improve.
Patriotism and the allure of cash reward may be enough incentives for the whistleblower, but the guarantee of safety and protection may still be a grave concern until the policy is backed by appropriate legislations.
There's need for a whistleblower legislation. That is the practice all over the world, in all these civilized societies, where people give information, where people volunteer information. They are not left at the mercy of these offenders. They are not left at the mercy of the suspects. Otherwise, people will not volunteer information. In fact, that has been a major problem of Nigeria's criminal justice system.
While government takes the lead in the fight against corruption, expectations are that the citizenry will take ownership of the whistleblower program and report any or all acts of corruption. In Abuja, Nnamdi Odipo, NTA News.
Well, in the war against corruption, change has become necessary to totally eradicate corruption and other negative tendencies from government's financial system. This is reflected in the continuous reforms in the public finance sector to ensure smooth and efficient services. A forensic and investigative audit training for auditors in ministries, departments and agencies has opened in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Let's now join Leah Katumbaba today for the details.
In 2012, the federal government came up with a series of public finance management reforms targeted at sanitizing the financial books and accounts of the Federation. And so 7 years down the line, today we are hearing of another innovation, which is the forensic and investigative audit. It is the first in a series of trainings designed to improve the internal audit process. This, the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, says is key to public finance function. He sounded a warning to participants whom he implored to pass on their takeaways to other colleagues, especially the message that zero tolerance for corruption cannot be compromised.
The rest of the world is fast moving in positive direction by taking all these reform initiatives long ago. Nigeria cannot be left behind.
As technological and innovative trends evolve, so also does crime and its attendant consequences. As a result, the forensic and investigative audit process seeks to prevent malpractices in public finance management before they actually occur.
If we rely on the traditional auditing and investigation, you will discover that we will not be able to tackle it. So we need a sophisticated mechanism as well to tackle fraud.
With the view that we'll be able to move the internal audit functions of the federal government from the previous analog, to modernization.
Participants would within the next 3 days be equipped with basic knowledge to improve their output. The training program continues until all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, are eventually covered. In Abuja, Lekatung Babatunde, NTA.
And away from corruption and instilling financial accountability, the Federal Executive Council has approved the construction of the Cameroon-Nigeria border link bridge under the African Development Bank support, aimed at improving relations between the two neighboring countries. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, who announced this after the Council's meeting, said the Kaduna Eastern Bypass Highway project also secured the Council's approval for completion. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports that a memorandum of the revised national policy on environment also scaled through.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo presided over the Council's meeting, which considered and approved a memo by the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing on the construction of a link bridge along the Cameroon-Nigeria border at Ekok Mfun. The nearly $40 million project, to be supported by the African Development Bank, is aimed at improving Nigeria-Cameroon relations as well as boost the International Court of Justice ruling on the Bakassi Peninsula.
It's part of the link road to between Enugu-Abakaliki Highway, which is already completed and part of the larger Lagos-Mombasa highway. We also presented a memorandum for the resuscitation and completion of the Kaduna Eastern Bypass Highway, which was started in 2002 and was initially planned to have been completed in 3 years, but 15 years after, it remains uncompleted. Council also approved the programs to complete it now. It's a 50-kilometer highway and dual carriageway with 9 bridges over rivers and rail crossings there.
The Kaduna Eastern Bypass Highway project, initially awarded in 2002 at 16 billion naira, will now be executed at 32 billion naira. Also approved by the council is the new National Policy on Environment, first formulated in 1991 and revised in 1999. The policy captures emerging environmental issues such as climate change, coastal erosion, pollution, as well as insecurity exacerbated by struggles for environmental resources.
So what the policy does is to look at all the different intersectoral issues that we have, whether it is with water, health, power, agriculture, and bring them in to have a multi-sector response to the environment. For instance, if we're talking about power, then renewable energy is a very big opportunity for us as we exit out of fossil fuels. Issues on waste and how we can look at the producers' responsibility, where we can see plastics actually being recycled and not littering the environment, but also looking at our diversity and seeing many of our wetlands now opened up from some of the constraints that we've had in the past, so that livelihoods can be strengthened. So really this policy framework puts in place a much better opportunity to engage with states and local governments and the communities in executing the priorities of the change agenda.
The outgoing Minister of Environment also gives an update on the Green Bond Initiative, saying it is on course for issuance in the first quarter of this year.
And we've already had indications from the stock exchange in the UK, from China, who issue most of the green bonds in the world today, over 400 billion, that they would be happy to come in our direction and do so. This is finding additional funding and focusing it better on looking at low emission projects, and so it's important to see the Ministry of Power involved, important to see the Ministry of Agriculture. In this case, FCT are coming on with the transportation program, and the Ministry of Environment on some of the deforestation. So Green Bond, look out for it. By the beginning of April, we should have it.
The Minister of Environment also reacted to the reported toxic waste scare in Koko community in Delta State, saying a team of experts has already been sent to the area to, among others, secure the site, find why it happened, and possibly those involved. This is coming nearly 30 years after the controversial dumping of 3,500 tons of toxic waste in the community, leading to damaging effects on the environment. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And it was an emotional demonstration of honor, respect, and best wishes for the outgoing Minister of Environment, Amina Mohammed, as the Federal Executive Council held a valedictory session in her honor. Again, Adamu Sambu has that report.
This is the last meeting of the Federal Executive Council to be attended by Amina Mohammed as she prepares to assume duty at the United Nations as Deputy Secretary General.
You are the darling minister for all my girls. They look up to you.
For the council members, therefore, it was an opportunity to reflect on the times shared in the last 15 months, as well as her positive contributions to council's deliberations for good governance and effective service delivery in Nigeria. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo described the outgoing Minister of Environment as an accomplished personality who impacted positively on the nation and humanity.
It's actually quite amazing that you have one person who seems to know so much. I mean, she's
competent in practically everything. I really would want to just pray for you that this will only be the beginning of much, much greater attainment in life. And we're extremely proud of what you've done, and we're going to be even prouder of what you will achieve in the United Nations.
Some members also took turns to eulogize the outgoing minister, whose selflessness in quality service to Nigeria, they say, will be greatly missed.
She is a gift to Nigeria. And now Nigeria is giving her as a gift to the world.
It's a recognition of the quality and the talent that we have in this country.
If I had my way, it is too early for us to allow quality people to live.
I know that she will go and impact positive vibes on everybody that she encounters over there.
She's not afraid to say what she thinks, and she's not afraid to do what she thinks is right.
I call her Mama Ogoni because she even got everybody very passionate about Ogoni land.
There's no doubt that Amina has affected our environment. She's ever so committed to the work.
Very direct, very sincere, very open, and more importantly, I found in her this huge patriotism.
We've learned a lot. She's added value to what we're doing in this country, and it is something that you cannot take away from her. In giving the United Nations, Mr. President has decided to give his best. A goldfish has no hiding place.
The minister, Amina Mohammed, who fought to hold back tears, thanked the council members for the honor done to her and promised to remain a good ambassador of Nigeria at the United Nations.
Nigeria's flag will fly high. There's no higher floor on the United Nations building on the 38th floor. Being there, you're closer to some of the decision making. We do have some major challenges that are considered of concern to the global village. So, bringing from Nigeria the real issues and some of the solutions that we know better than others can prescribe to us will give us, I believe, an edge in trying to bring those solutions to closer to fruition.
The 55-year-old Amina Mohammed is expected to formally assume duty at the United Nations on Tuesday, the 28th of this month. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
A befitting farewell there for the outgoing Environment Minister. Now, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has withheld assent to 4 bills already passed by both chambers of the National Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that the letter to that effect has been sent to the Senate and read at today's plenary.
In the letter read by Senate President Bukola Saraki, the acting president said he is withholding assent to the Dangerous Drug Amendment Bill 2016.
Pursuant to Section 58(4) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I hereby convey to the Senate my decision to withhold assent to the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Bill 2016 recently passed by the National Assembly. The rationale for withholding assent to the bill are the concerns regarding certain words and phrases utilized in the draft bill that may be inconsistent with the Principal Act. I hereby convey to the Senate my decision to withhold assent to the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund Amendment Bill 2016, recently passed by the National Assembly. The reasons for withholding assent to the bill are the concerns surrounding board composition, funding arrangements, limitation of liability of funds, and proposals to increase level of uncollateralized loans from 5,000 to 250,000 naira. I hereby convey to the Senate my decision to withhold assent to the Currency Conversion Freezing Order Amendment Bill 2016, recently passed by the National Assembly. The rationale for withholding assent to the bill is the concern regarding modalities for the communication of asset forfeiture orders.
And the National Lottery Bill.
The rationale for withholding assent to the bill is the existence of a pending legal challenge to the competence of the National Assembly to legislate on the subject matter.
Spokesman of the Senate, Ali Usabi Abdullahi, explained to Senate Press Corps that the Senate would critically look into the reasons for withholding assent.
A constitutional order on this was raised by Senator Gino Melai, and the case is being referred to our legal unit for guidance and advice. And whatever comes out of this, we will surely come back to brief you on our stand. As at now, the point of order has been raised. That is where we are.
Later, Senate Leader Ahmed Lawal called for adjournment of plenary till Tuesday, February 28th. This is to enable committees conclude receiving 2017 budget defense from the MDAs. As a result of the adjournment, 5 reports slated to be laid and 7 other bills slated for consideration had to be stood down until another legislative day. Outside plenary, Deputy Senate President Ike Igoremadu has called on business concerns to focus attention on the informal sector in a bid to revamp the nation's economy. The Deputy Senate President was speaking when he received officials of the Enugu Chambers of Commerce and Industries in his office.
When people focus on big business, we have small business all over Nigeria and employ small people, and the people can set up their own easily.
Meanwhile, the Senate committee has called on ministries, departments and agencies that have either not defended their 2017 budget or have not provided additional clarifications as required to do so within the remaining days or face the full wrath of legislative action. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
Also at today's plenary on the floor of the House, members received an executive communication from Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, informing them of the reasons for withholding presidential assent to the 4 bills. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that Speaker Yakubu Dogara read the letter to the members as the House reconvened.
I hereby convey to the House of Representatives my decision to withhold assent to the National Lottery Amendment Bill 2016, withholding of assent to Dangerous Drugs Amendment Bill 2016, withholding of assent to Currency Conversion Freezing Orders Amendment Bill 2016, Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund Amendment Bill 2016.
The Speaker also stated the next line of action by the Parliament.
We now have to scrutinize the reason given by the Acting President for not assenting to the bills. Where the reasons are tenable, fine, we'll accept it. But where they're not, we may decide to say, if we can muster the 2/3 majority to override the veto. That is what the Constitution allows us to do.
Also at Wednesday's plenary, the presidency also requested the approval of $500 million United States Euro bond to finance the deficit of the 2016 budget. While reading the request, the Speaker formally read the letter from the President notifying them of the extension of his vacation. Diplomatic matters took the center stage as the latest xenophobic attack in South Africa, alleged to be targeted at Nigerians, was condemned by members as the resolve to send a delegation to South Africa to speak with their government and to ensure the protection of Nigerians living there. This is sequel to a motion of urgent public importance moved by the Chairman House Committee on Diaspora, Representative Rita Oji.
Please. Also assure her citizens that Nigerian government is well positioned to aggressively defend the rights of Nigerians overseas.
The House resolved to investigate the scarcity and incessant hike in the price of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly known as cooking gas, moved by Representative Sergio Sogun from Edo State.
He has informed that the price of the gas has been subjected to incessant hikes.
It touches on all aspects of petroleum industry matter.
Members also resolved to investigate the alleged arrest and prosecution of returning internally displaced persons over loans granted them by the Bank of Agriculture, moved by Representative Adamu Kamale from Adamawa State.
Most farmers' produce were still unharvested, while livestock were massively taken away by the insurgents.
A new member was sworn in. He is Representative Johnson Oguma of the All Progressives Congress, representing Etsako East, Etsako West and Central Federal Constituency of Edo State. He replaces Philip Shaibu, who was elected Deputy Governor of Edo State. A member from Akwa Ibom State, Representative Emmanuel Okete, defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, on grounds of what he described as factionalization of the PDP. Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Abdrazak Namdas, also briefed journalists on the state of bills before the executive.
That the acting president has signed about 7 bills.
He explained that the House has adjourned to Tuesday next week to enable members concentrate on budget defense. The House has commenced the process of amending the Nigerian Postal Service Act in a bid to strengthen the agency for efficient service. This was one of the 22 bills that were passed for first reading at Wednesday's plenary. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Ignatius. And from the National Assembly, we take you to Lagos, where the former Minister of State Defense, Senator Musliu Obanikoro, has sued the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, at the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos over the seizure and detention of his property. The court has also restrained the former Aviation Minister, Senator Stella Odua, and Sea Petroleum and Gas Company Limited from making withdrawals from the company's account following debts owed to some banks pending the determination of the suit. Viera Chumwaba has the details.
Of State Defense Senator Musliu Obanikoro and his family are suing the EFCC, seeking a declaration that the forceful seizure of their personal effects constitutes a gross violation of their rights. The applicants are praying the court for an order setting aside the forceful detention of 14th of June 2016. They are also demanding an all-reserved public apology as well as 100 million naira as general damages. Obanikoro and his family are further seeking an order restraining the EFCC from arresting, detaining or harassing them or entering the premises against the seizure. EFCC had claimed that Obanikoro received suspicious payments from the Office of National Security Advisor through companies linked to his family. The commission had said that about $1 million were transferred from the Office of the National Security Advisor to Mob Integrated Services on the 18th of March 2015. Counsel to the family, Lawal Pedro, argued that the documents and the property seized have nothing to do with the office. However, EFCC has urged the court to dismiss the suit that it acted in accordance with the provisions of the law. Justice Abdulaziz Hazard has fixed the 28th of March for ruling. The court also issued an order directing 21 commercial banks having Stella Odua and her 4 companies' assets to sequestrate up to the indebtedness of the former minister and Sea Petroleum and Gas Companies in the sum of more than $60 million and over 100 million naira. The money, the court said, must be placed in an interest-yielding account in the name of the chief registrar of the court. The order was sequel to an affidavit sworn by the business manager of Maritime Selling Bank, Shegun Akinseye. Meanwhile, the former aviation minister has filed a preliminary objection urging the court to strike out the suit for lack of jurisdiction. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still to come, MDAs defend their budgets and more returnees attest to the sweetness of coming back from the wilderness. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I can say without equivocation that my glimpse of the facilities, staff and students, as I drove around and chatted with them, this campus leaves me or anyone in no doubt that the setting of this university is superlatively impressive, with nothing of this kind that I have seen so far in the country or anywhere else.
Afe Babalola University, the fastest growing educational institution in Africa.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth is in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
The Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, cordially invites the general public to the 11th Nigerian Navy Games holding in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Date 26th February to 4th March 2017. Opening ceremony is at God's Will Akpabio International Stadium. Special guest of honor at the opening ceremony is the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mansour Mohammed Dan Ali. Special guest of honor at the closing ceremony is His Excellency, the Senate President, Senator Dr. Bukola Saraki. Chief host is His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Emmanuel Udom. Host is Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas. Nigerian Navy, onward together. Announcer, Director of Information for Chief of the Naval Staff.
The Tony Elumelu Foundation's $100 million entrepreneurship program is empowering Africa's next business leaders. 10,000 entrepreneurs, 54 countries. Become a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur. Apply now.
The Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, invites all civil service pensioners who retired under the old pension scheme in the South states of Delta and Edo to their verification exercise. The verification exercise is scheduled to hold as follows: Asaba, 27th February to 8th March 2017. Benin, 27th to 9th March 2017. Pensioners are advised to come along with their necessary documents as advertised in the Vanguard newspaper of 23rd February and This Day newspaper of 24th February 2017. For more information, visit our website at www.ptad.gov.ng. Call PTAD toll-free number on 0800-CALL-PTAD or 0800-22557823. Pensioners in the Southwest and North Central zones are kindly requested not to come for this verification exercise, as the dates and locations of their verification exercise will be advertised in due course. Signed, Management.
Hello?
Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Xiaomi M6, carry out everything on that list, starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test.
Xiaomi M6 with a 5,000 milliamp battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge.
Xiaomi M6, always in power.
The Future Assured project and its components, Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships, and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Following the approval of the whistleblowers policy by the Federal Executive Council and its launch by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, patriotic Nigerians have been making inquiries on how and where they could deliver information that could lead to the stopping or uncovering of fraud to the appropriate authority and answers to frequently asked questions. The Federal Minister of Finance has therefore dedicated a telephone line for receiving SMS, a whistleblowers portal, and an email address through which members of the public who volunteer to disclose information about a possible misconduct or violation could deliver such information for the attention of the team dedicated to process such information.
You're welcome back to News Extra on the network service of the NTA. The federal government has restated its commitment towards revamping the ailing refineries in the country to ensure adequate supply of petroleum products and steady growth of the economy. This came to the fore when the Minister of State for Petroleum met with the Senate Joint Committee on Upstream, Downstream and Gas on Budget Defense. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba has that report.
With the urgent need to the recovery of the economy, the petroleum sector remains critical in this government drive to attain the ultimate goal. Minister of State for Petroleum said their focus shall be to accelerate federal government revenue collection of outstanding royalties and resolve Niger Delta militancy issues.
At the end of 2016, succeeded for the first time in our history in creating a council that exited a cash call policy on the JV acreages. And the effect of that over a period of time will be additional savings of 2 billion, but progressively much more increase in barrels of production over time.
You have to get it right, and you have to scrutinize and make sure that you ask, very pertinent questions and everything.
In another development, leadership of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, was at the Senate Committee on Cooperation and Integration in Africa. Chief Executive of NEPAD explained that the organization has made frantic efforts to ensure the steady implementation of its programs and activities, but there are constraints that need to be addressed.
When you see repeated programs, money given for one program or the other, NEPAD is meant to, if possible, have agents that live outside this country.
Required document is necessary to rely upon. Thank you, NEPAD.
The management of NEPAD, however, pleaded with the committee to make adequate budgetary provision for the organization so as to actualize its mandate of initiating and sustaining Africa's development and economic integration with Nigeria as the flagship. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
And still on budget defense, the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDC, has urged the National Assembly to fast-track the review of its Establishment Act of 1988 to enable the corporation address issues concerning increasing percentage rate of non-performing loans in the banking sector. This came up when the agency appeared before the budget defense session of the House Committee on Insurance. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nani was there.
Explaining non-performing insider loan as the major challenge of the corporation in meeting its statutory mandate to the public and financial institutions, the managing director, Umaru Ibrahim, expressed the hope that adequate implementation of the 2017 budget proposals will address all issues in the sector. He gave an income proposal of 102.294 billion naira for the year, of which 75% will be expended in accordance with the provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
There must be a rule banning, as far as we are concerned, banning insiders, directors from obtaining loans, no matter how good the argument may be, from their banks. If they have good businesses, let them go to other banks.
The members, however, raised various concerns, including what the corporation is doing to reach out to small-scale businesses to key into the system, the role being played by the Central Bank of Nigeria, its foreign exchange investments, as well as the provisions of the drafted review sent to the National Assembly.
The draft you gave to us, which the House is now working on, does it address all these
problems or issues of insider abuse? Because you say NDIC and CBN agreed on the text of the draft. Do we have some succor if that act were to pass, that all these lapses will be cured?
The committee also urged the agency to step up action in monitoring activities in the banking system to ensure fiscal discipline and economic stability. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has said it is high time Nigeria and the United States deepen their long-standing relationship. Professor Osinbajo stated this while receiving the commander of the U.S. Africa Command at the presidential villa. Nigeria's relationship with the U.S., he observed, is very important, and the Buhari administration is committed to working with the United States in addressing human rights concerns and security challenges in the country. The head of the U.S. Africa Command, General Woods Hauser, expressed readiness of the U.S. government to accelerate its contributions to the development of Nigeria. He added that his visit to Nigeria at this time is to further strengthen the common friendship. In keeping up with its counter-insurgency operations in the northeast and other security challenges in the country, the Northern Army is enhancing the marksmanship skills of its personnel, and Sambisa Forest will be the base for the camping. Army Headquarters Garrison Commander Major General John Malu says so far 60 shooters have been selected for the forthcoming Small Arms Shooting Championship. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma was at the 177 Guards Battalion shooter range in Kefi, from where he now reports.
The 60 shooters drawn from Garrison Command and Guards Brigade will represent Army Headquarters in the Shooting Championship, which comes up in March. They were selected after a weapon classification and handling test, which started in January, assessing their capabilities in shooting from 100 to 200 meters distance, using the kneeling, sitting, standing in the trench, as well as moving positions. Using the FM and AK-47 rifles, the shooters tried hitting targets using the deliberate, snap, time rapid, fire and move shooting techniques.
We look out for discipline, steadfastness, and all the attributes of a marksman. We expect them to perfect their marksmanship principles. We expect them to know how to take care of the weapon, because a weapon that is not properly maintained and all cannot serve you in combat.
Camping for the shooters commences immediately. From Kefi, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Another batch of 171 Nigerians has returned to the country from Libya, barely a week after a batch of 161 Nigerians returned home from the North African country. Senior Special Assistant to the President of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, was among the government contingent that received the returnees at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Jane Ojuku has that report.
The 171 returnees who arrived in Lagos at about 4 p.m. on Tuesday were received by a team of government officials from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and immigration officials. Director Search and Rescue, NEMA, Air Commodore Salisu Mohammed, gave a breakdown of this batch of returnees.
A total of 112 female, then 49 adults, male, 5 male children, 5 male infants, and a total of 59 male.
One of the returnees shared her horrific experience in Libya.
I traveled to Libya 11 months ago, and I was deceived that I was going to Germany. Every day, if you don't want to walk, they will start maltreating you.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, commended the returnees for voluntarily coming back home rather than remaining in Libya, where irregular immigrants face severe hostilities.
Some of them are trafficked, and they get there, they actually get nothing. So the message is that it is not worth it. As tough as your country is today, you're better off here.
She assured the returnees that efforts are being made by various states to empower and reintegrate them. She said another batch will be evacuated soon, after which a final one in which all Nigerians stranded in Libya will be given final opportunity to be evacuated. In Lagos, Jane Ujuku, NTA News.
Indeed, there's nothing like home. And away from the returnees, experts on housing have assured Nigerians of government's determination to provide 180,000 houses to address the housing deficit for sustainable development. This was their position on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live. Talatu Ezerike now reports.
One of the basic needs of man is a challenge for Nigerians, as home ownership rate is put at 25%. This, many say, is very low compared to countries like Kenya with 73%, Benin Republic with 63%, and that of Singapore at 90%. Analysts attribute the neglect of workable housing policies, high mortgage interest rates, and corruption as some factors that give rise to housing deficit. Interestingly, there are concerted efforts through the federal government direct intervention in the housing sector to build houses for all strata. Of note is the Federal Integrated Staff Housing, FISH, that is public-private driven to be sustainable, accessible, and affordable.
What we are trying to do through our partnership with the Mortgage Refinancing Company of Nigeria is to broker some understanding in a way that the single-digit interest rate will still be maintained. It may not be 3%, but it may be lower than 10%.
Where can you get a loan of where the interest rate is 3%? You know, and of course it's highly subsidized. They know the bracket, what the public servants or civil servants are earning. So, and of course, all those things were considered.
For others, the need for sincerity of purpose and adoption of housing schemes that conform with modern-day realities.
In the current National Housing Program, the Honorable Minister has tried as much as possible to engage the state governors to give sites that are close not only to the cities and settlements, but also very close to existing infrastructures.
The strength of numbers assists significantly. Like for the estate we're developing right now is a 3,000 unit housing estate. So whatever it is we're buying in bulk. That any supplier that we're using, we get economy of scale.
There are high hopes of government getting the housing sector right to meet the aspirations and expectations of many Nigerians, especially the low middle income earners. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
7 officers of the Nigerian Customs Service have been detained in connection with the recent seizure of 660 pieces of pump-action rifles smuggled into the country. The controller Apapa Command of the Nigerian Customs Service, Musa Jibril, said the importer of the consignment has also been detained. It's over now to Ademola Adewi for the details of that report.
Controller Jibril, who gave an update on the investigation being carried out on the clearance and release of the container carrying the boxes of 661 pump-action rifles, said all the officers involved have been rounded up. He added that officers from other government agencies at the port involved in the release are also being investigated.
And we have been able to take their statements, and they have made actually very useful statements.
In view of this development, almost all the containers going through the port are now being subjected to 100% physical examination.
Would you be able to check all the drums that are in there, because that place is very hot? Very hot and very dark.
Very dark.
Yeah.
So how would you be able to know if there are, some arms, concealed in one of the drums down there.
Yes, that is exactly not just one officer, 2 or 3 you will see inside. Drums, whatever covers the down, because if we cannot see the floor of the container, means it is not yet been done.
We also have serious challenges with manpower, which is to be provided by the port concessionaires.
We've invested heavily in all these procuring this equipment to do it because it's really key. So there's no responsible, it would be totally irresponsible of any terminal operator not to have equipment.
Though this process is painstaking and slow, Customs says the security of the country cannot be compromised for revenue generation.
When you are doing it electronically, it's faster than when you are doing it manually.
Customs service should be given some kind of autonomy to be able to procure equipment that will aid their services.
While Nigerians await the outcome of the investigation, stakeholders have posited that Customs needs to purchase scanners for easy detection of arms and unwholesome products and for trade facilitation. From Lagos, Ademola Adeoye, NTA News.
And on the political front, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Ali Modu Sharif, says he has concluded all arrangements for the reopening of the party's secretariat before the end of this week. He stated this when he hosted the Southwest leaders of the PDP in Abuja. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Brindikudu now reports.
The PDP National Secretariat was locked by the police for almost a year now, following the crisis between supporters of the 2 factional leaders of the party. Addressing Southwest leaders on solidarity visit, Senator Sharif said he has got the court judgment as authentic chairman and already briefed security on the reopening of the secretariat between now and Friday. He promised to reposition the party and ensure it goes back to the people as a grassroots.
The PDP owners, I cannot sit down here in Abuja and even determine what happens in my local government, Ghana. The people have to decide.
The zonal vice chairman Southwest, Mr. Makonjola Ogundipe, led 6 other states chairmen from the zone on the visit.
Everybody that is down, please go and lift them up. Embracing their spirits, let them know that you as chairman will know what you can do.
Senator Ali Modu Sharif has been operating in his private residence as his temporary secretariat. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Brindikudu, NTA News.
Still to come, Nigeria may well be on the way to being the world's 2nd largest producer of rice. The details will come your way shortly. Stay with us.
With happy cover from Leeway Assurance, you'll be covered for, well, almost anything. From automobile cover.
Boys, play nicely.
To house. To personal cover. All with one single premium.
Play nicely with your brother. That's it, we're going home. Yes, luckily I have happy cover. Oh, I have happy cover too. Sorry about your house.
Actually, I have happy cover also, so. Get happy. Maybe needs happy. SMS happy to 22865 and we'll call you back. SMS now. Live happy with Leeway Assurance. Ensuring happiness since 1970.
Coca-Cola?
Oh, it's happy hour. So, you want a free Coca-Cola, but you have to drink it here.
Mamador is cholesterol-free, full of omega oils, and approved by the Nigerian Heart Foundation. Mamador, your heart will thank you.
Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for rejoining us on News Extra tonight. Financial experts react to the Central Bank of Nigeria's recent review of its foreign exchange policy. This and today's transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange with Abdullahi Mohammed on Business News.
Good evening. You're on to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered banks to open outlets in airports across the country. This is expected to ease the acute shortage of foreign exchange and reduce the wide gap between the official and parallel market. The Apex Bank also mandated the banks not to sell beyond 20% of the existing interbank market rate. Some financial experts describe the move as a positive step towards liberalization of the market, while others insist that total liberalization of the market remains key.
The central banks will allow the market to function. If there are sectors that we need to support, we can isolate those sectors and devise strategies, incentives to support those sectors.
If that market becomes freely floating, like somebody said, dollar may hit 1,000 naira. You know, the problem is so long there is naira in the pocket of some Nigerians, irrespective of the rate the dollar is going for, they will continue to buy, they will continue to mount pressure, unless naira itself dries up in the pockets of some people. So if it's still there and you allow that market to operate freely, we will be in for a shock.
About 119 million shares exchange hands on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today, valued at 1.79 billion naira in 2,579 deals. Market capitalization closed 8.73 trillion naira, while the all-share index indexed 25,249.74 points. That's Business News. Thanks for being part of it. News Extra continues shortly. Stay with us.
Thank you, Abdullahi. Now, a recent report stating that Nigeria is attaining the status of the world's second largest producer of rice has attracted the attention of many Nigerians. It is in the light of this that our agriculture correspondent, Musa Baba Aliyu, in this next report, takes a look at the current rice production in Nigeria and the 2016 statistics of the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations.
African countries are ranked as the major consumers of rice, while production was put at less than 12 million tons annually, spending $3.5 billion on importation of the commodity yearly. Nigeria, which is the largest producer of rice in West Africa, has a deficit of 3 million tons, spending over 1 billion naira on importation to close the gap on a daily basis. The present administration, since coming on board, has developed strategies to boost production of rice to cut down importation. The strategies, which include the Anchor Borrower Scheme, has resulted in the increase in rice paddy production in all the rice-producing states. For instance, records have shown that states like Niger, Kebbi, Nasarawa, Jigawa, Ebonyi, and Benue produced over 1 million tons each during the 2015-2016 wet and dry season farming activities.
Are aiming at hitting the ceiling of 7 million tons by the middle of next year, which is our national consumption rate. But we have to go beyond that.
Governors from the rice-producing states are partnering with developing partners to establish milling industries to boost milled rice supply nationwide.
While we procured the modern rice milling machine on behalf of the rice millers, and we have already given it to them, to the organization,
to see what they can do to migrate from local rice processing to this modernized rice processing scheme.
100 rice mills for distribution. 100. Some 10 tons a day, which will mainly go to cooperatives. Some 20 tons a day, some 50 tons, and some 100 tons. And the terms of sale and distribution to the communities will be very, very generous indeed.
And rice is one of the most stable foods of not just Nigeria, the West Africa, even the African population. This is now time to capitalize on this good news and gain high foreign exchange, because we're trying to bring the rate of the naira to the dollar at a level that it will improve on the economy of this country.
The milling capacity of Nigeria before now was put at over 800,000 tons yearly, which is expected to increase to over 3 million tons before the end of 2018. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, oil spillage has wide-ranging impact on the people and the environment, as studies have shown that the effect of oil spills reach far beyond the location of the original spill within a short period. Muhammad Abdul Qadir tells us the experience of the people of Ego, Ikoba, Oha Federal Constituency of Edo State.
Findings revealed that Ikara, a riverine community, has a long stretch of river known as Ogba, connecting other communities in the Niger Delta. A guided tour of duty on River Ogba was a mixed experience. I observed with concern the over 28-kilometer clustered vegetation encroaching the waterways that made our speedboats to get hooked at interval. What about inhaling of breeze polluted by heavy crude oil presence on the river that made the journey unpleasurable with a lot of risk to our health? The effect of oil spillage is manifest on the dying vegetation and ecotourism. Bram Dibofun is an environmentalist.
From samples collected, water, soil, and sediments collected showed that the place is laden with heavy metals, BTEX. These are all carcinogenic substances, that is, they are cancer-causing.
Moving forward, I pondered on damage to the socio-economic life of the people by the oil spillage.
We have good land, yet they've been polluted. The land, the crops are not growing well again due to pollution.
It means that all our livelihood is affected. We've just come from the water right now. We can see how polluted the place is. You can no longer fish in our water.
Of the oil spillage in 2013 in this area, evidences abound that there are still effects and the impact of spillage on vegetations, on farmland, and on water. This is why the community is looking forward to the current efforts of the federal government to clean up the water as well as good arable farmland. Muhammad Abdul Qadir, NTA News.
Indeed, this is an area begging for attention. We'll now take another break. When we return, transversing the roads in South Nigeria. We'll be right back.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
Hotel at 24 Udora Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Check out our world-class services, exquisite suites, restaurant and bar, gymnasium, spa and grills, and our outdoor catering services and cuisines. At Jade's, it can only be better. For bookings and reservations, visit us today at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja, or visit www.jadeshotels.com. Our email address is info@jadeshotels.com. You can also call us on 09291-9321 or 0810-909-7956. Jade's Hotels. Welcome to life. The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
The federal government's social investment program has begun. The poorest and most vulnerable in the land get 5,000 naira monthly, and phase 1 has started in 9 states of the federation. 200,000 unemployed graduates have been engaged in the N-Power Volunteer Corps, designed to engage 500,000 people. 5.5 million children will be fed regularly in the homegrown school feeding program, which kicked off in 3 states last year, with 9 more to be added this year. And under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, thousands of cooperatives, market women, farmers, and enterprising youth have been receiving between 10,000 and 100,000 naira soft loans since November 2016. The social investment program has begun. It can only get better. We promise change. Change is here.
Are you looking for value, or you're in search of nature and splendor all in one place? Here at Chida International Hotel, we define the very essence of life. Our environment offers added value in standard, attitude, and delivery. Our facilities include the very best of everything you can imagine, from a world-class event center to Echo's restaurant, Wema Bar, Confluence Pool Bar, Pastry Lobby Shop, classy and valet services, IT center, top-notch saloon, conference and banquet facilities, modern health center, and many more. We're located at Plot 224 Solomon Lao Way, Utako District, Abuja. For more information on your highly distinguished hotel services, call 081-007-18882 and 081-007-18883. Never say value until you've experienced the exquisiteness of Chida International Hotel. Chida International Hotel, preferred by many.
Welcome back to News Extra. Federal road projects in the south-south zone of the country are steadily becoming a reality after being revived by the present administration with a promise to completing them for the benefit of the people. Works and Housing correspondent Muhammad Hamza Sheikh reports that contractors are now to be paid based on quantity and quality of work done.
With 41 federal road infrastructure projects, the South-South zone of Nigeria has the second highest number of such projects after the Southeast, which has 44 projects. The Northwest has the least with 20 projects. In spite of the important economic resources of national interest that abound in the South-South zone, abundant road projects are littered everywhere due to incessant hostilities among the host communities and non-payment to contractors for several years. In Cross River State, for instance, the abundant Katsina Ala Ogoja Ugep Calabar Road has deteriorated to a terrible state turning the whole area into a perfect den for criminals and criminal activities.
When this road will be our market will be moving and we will have more customers.
If they finish the road, the life this side will be comfortable.
Now that we are believing that the government is coming to our aid to do the road, our farm product will not perish again. They will buy market, and we have population.
The Buhari administration has revived some sections of the road and many other roads in the South-South zone.
This is the road that you have featured extensively, especially during the rainy season. You heard from the contractors when it was awarded. You award a road of almost 200 kilometers and you give the contractor 45 million naira in January 2015. That's why the pain has endured. I think what has changed is that in spite of the tough economic times, this administration is able to keep that contractor there now paying some money, and we will pay more.
Out of the 13 abandoned road projects in Edo State, the present administration has reactivated 5 on which work is currently in progress. Among them are the dualization of Lokoja Benin and Okene Auchi roads, both linking Kogi to Edo State, construction of Egba Akure Road linking Edo to Ondo State, and dualization of Sapele Abo Ewu Road. Edo State government has also agreed to intervene on an impending washout on the Benin-Lokoja Highway within Benin City. The construction of Inegwe Okarki Kolo Road in Bayelsa State has reached about 48% completion. The 33.5-kilometer road leads to the National Liquefied Gas Plant and many other oil companies in Brass local government area of Bayelsa State. The 13 billion naira project also links Mbiama to Inagua, the Akwa Ibom state capital. There is also the 3 billion naira rehabilitation work of Umuahia Ikot-Epene Road linking Abia to Akwa Ibom state, on which work has reached 40.5% completion.
The happiness is more than what somebody can express, because we've been looking for a time when this road will be constructed.
We are very, very happy because the road will give us an easy opportunity for people to travel to the capital.
The major challenges facing road projects in the South-South zone are security situation in the project areas, abuse of the roads by abutting communities, and non-payment for certified works. Muhammad Hamza Sheikh, NTA News.
Ahead of the Oslo International Donor Conference, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, says Nigeria is set to present a roadmap on the humanitarian crisis in the Lake Chad Basin. Gabriel Odu reports that a $1 billion commitment is expected at the conference.
The Oslo International Donor Conference, being hosted by Norway and Germany, is to extract commitment from donor countries and agencies to help recharge Lake Chad, which has shrunk about 10% of its original size.
It's become one of the world's, biggest humanitarian crises today. And the food challenge absolutely huge.
The minister also added that Nigeria's roadmap on rebuilding the Northeast will dominate discussions.
We have to get that message across, because it's clear that for quite a long time more focus has been given on the military situation, the security situation. Of course, terrorism is a major global challenge. And so naturally a lot of focus was given to the fight against terrorism, especially by the international community.
The minister also briefed on the issue of xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa, adding that government is on top of the situation, taking it on at bilateral levels. From the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Gabriel Odu, NTA News.
When we return after the break, a bit on sports and on the global scene. Join us again.
call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
In Uzbekistan, a journalist and opposition activist, Muhammad Bekjanov, convicted of attempting to kill late President Islam Karimov, freed after serving 18 years in jail. For more reports on global tidbits, let's join Ronke Kolawole.
A South African High Court has ruled as unconstitutional and invalid the decision of government to withdraw from the International Criminal Court, ICC, urging the government to revoke its notice of withdrawal. The ruling is in favor of the opposition Democratic Alliance, which had earlier challenged the government from withdrawing membership from ICC without parliamentary approval. Two African countries, South Sudan and Somalia, had to receive £100 million assistance from the United Kingdom government to alleviate famine. It also called on the global community to step up support for the two nations. In Malawi, President Peter Mutharika has dismissed with immediate effect the agriculture minister following the outcome of an investigation into $34.5 million maize procurement fund. Away from Africa now, Turkey has urged Israeli government to stop what it called illegal settlement policies on Palestinian land. Turkish President Recep Erdogan had earlier condemned Israel's decision to ramp up settlement in the West Bank as an absolute provocation. For Global Tidbits, Roke Kolawole, NTA News.
Maiden West African Golf Tour tees off in Abuja Thursday as Nigeria Football Federation assures that the Super Eagles will compete at the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Amazi Marcus has sports update.
Counterparts in competing for honors. The 72-hole tournament tagged FCT Classics is the first of 10 events scheduled on the tour this year.
The Nigerian professionals who doesn't have enough tournament come on here to play more tournaments as well as what the PGN can do for them.
The Nigeria Football Federation is confident of the Super Eagles qualification to the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. Bitrus Bewarang, technical director of the NFF, said he is sure of Nigeria's qualification, having earned 6 points from 2 Group B matches against Zambia and Algeria, adding that the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, current African champions, pose no threat to the Super Eagles' ambition.
When you think negatively, you get negative results. So I believe that Nigerians should be able to have confidence that our players can do it.
Nigeria Super.
Two other nationals working along the Nigeria-Cameroon boundary. Delivering a letter of condolence through the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Ambassador Ibni Chambers described the incident as unfortunate and disturbing. The special representative, who is also the chairman, Cameroon-Nigeria Mixed Commission, urged both countries, Nigeria and Cameroon, not to be distracted by the incident, but work together for the successful completion of the demarcation exercise. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the country appreciates the concern of the international community over the incident, pointing out that all stakeholders must team up to bring an end to terrorism. The Director General of the National Boundary Commission, Dr. Mohammed Bosse Ahmed, has earlier paid a condolence visit to the families of the deceased. Next, is a look at the weather picture for major cities. And before we go, a quick reminder that you can get all our stories and much more when you log on to our website, www.nta.ng. And that wraps it up on the program tonight. We've really enjoyed bringing it to you, and we do hope that you've enjoyed being with us as much as we enjoyed being with you. So why don't you make it a date with us? Same time, same station next week. Until then, thank you for joining us and have a pleasant night rest.